Parry Talks. Welcome back, friends, family. It's been a busy week on Parry Talks. You've probably seen we have announced the compilation. It's coming out March the 5th. Go pre-order it. Every cent goes to Aboriginal Legal Service in Redfern. Every cent. So go pre-order it. Add more than just like what it costs, because the more money we raise, obviously, the better, because that's how charity works. Go pre-order it. Lexi's track is streaming now. If you pre-order it, you get that track. It's an absolute belter, and the ones that are coming are better, I think. Oh, not better, that's so harsh. But they're great too. They're awesome as well. So please get on that, pre-order it, buy the shit out of it, do your thing. Just like, let's do something special with this. And Parry Talks is never just about me. It's always about these cool people and my cool friends, and showing off my cool friends and showing that they're the coolest people in the world, and just giving them a platform to do their thing. And there's no better way to do it than, like, if you're going to spend $20 on Parry Talks in 2021, do it on this. Don't buy a t-shirt, don't buy a water bottle, don't buy a Parry Talks hat, none of that. Go buy the compilation.
All Australian artists, yeah?
All Sydney artists.
All Sydney artists.
I think. Yeah, well, one, AK Sports moved to LA, but she's Australian.
She's Sydney.
Yeah, she's about as Sydney as it gets. Which again, and in that note, I think it's good that we have this podcast coming out the week, because it's
True.
The same energy.
Yeah.
It's community focused. It's a community leader, community member, and it's the one, I don't even know, do you want me to introduce this? She's a DJ, she runs this thing, there's so much going on, but I know her as Talia, you might know her as Tangela, you might know her as Mama of Douglas Street. How have you been? What's good? How's 2021 been to you so far?
Oh, that intro is so nice.
Look, you're going to get talking in a second, but I just need to say my segues are like nothing else.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
So,
would you say, how have I been? Is that the question?
How's 2021 treated you so far?
2021 is good. I'm super positive about this year. I'm really excited about things coming. I think there's good energy, and I mean, well, we as Douglas Street have taken a quiet little break for the past month or so. So now I have the energy to keep going to this year. So I'm feeling rejuvenated.
Lovely. I feel like one thing that I've sort of seen common, including in my own behaviour and also my peers' behaviour as well, including yourself, is because there haven't been like massive New Year's festivals and all these club nights and stuff, everyone's taken this New Year's period to really reflect and like re-nourish and like just rejuvenate. And I feel like now that people are coming out of their, not slumber, but that like,
so
that
true.
Deep reflective state, it's like...
It's been like self-care rather than like...
self-destruction.
Those January blues.
Yeah.
Someone said to me the other day that that like New Year's period is just your very long airport layover.
That's what it is.
It is.
What day is
now
it?
Now we're here.
What day is it? Yeah. Oh, should I start work again?
Yeah.
Just like that level of, yeah. So I think it's been nice to reflect and sort of like understand impact a bit more. And I've definitely been thinking about that a lot. But like, let's just jump straight into Douglas Street, because I'm a Douglas Street stan.
Hey.
Douglas Street obviously had... I've said Douglas Street like 40 times already.
It had Douglas Street.
It was an entity... Oh, just like... This
My house.
Yeah. What was Douglas Street before the live stream started happening? How would you describe it? What was the hub like? Because it did have a bit of an aura to it.
Yeah, it's been a thing for a while before we became a like public online presence. But the house has been there for 4 years. And there's 6 of us who live there. And we've been putting on Douglas Street parties for those 4 years, and they're an event. We can fit 300 people through in a day. It's soundproofed, and we have the whole setup and that sort of thing. So it was always the place for kick-ons. It was always the place that everyone came back to. It was always referred to as Douglas Street. So then it kind of already had an aura to begin with, and then it was kind of easy to transition that into other people.
Yeah, and everyone needs that spot because there's a security to it.
Yeah.
Like when you're on a night out, it's like...
It's homely.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if it's familiar. And it did create a bit of a name for itself. Like there was like a Facebook group going for it or something. Like it was just a whole... And like I didn't even know anyone that lived there or anything. I just knew like just through like the word of mouth that Like, what did you do last night? Oh,
Just a Douglas
just
Street.
a Douglas Street. So, obviously, the world sort of stopped for a little bit, and a lot of beautiful things came from that in dance music, which was sort of rare. But I think one thing about Sydney culture and Sydney dance music culture is that we're battlers. Like,
we know how to keep on,
exactly,
keeping on.
exactly. So when that sort of all happened, what were the early conversations like about what could we do with Douglas Street? How do we evolve this? How do we stay relevant? How do we stay engaged?
So it was actually the first week of COVID that we did our first live stream. So I think there was that weekend where, I don't know, the last parties were on. I think it was Object.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
what
it
a night.
was that weekend. And then Monday, everyone was like, okay, that was the last weekend that we were going to party. And we were like, okay, this Friday, why don't we can't go out, we can't do anything, none of us have an outlet, we can't DJ out at clubs anymore, we don't know how long that's going to be. Let's just screw around housemates in the living room and whatever, let's live stream it.
Yeah.
It'll be silly. So it started just as housemates, like just as us taking turns, being a bit silly, jumping on the mic. There was a lot of mic talking to begin with. We've kind of culled that a little bit because there was like
Why?
so much shit talking.
I love that though. Well, I've dedicated 3 days a week of my life
to shit talking.
to shit talking on record.
Maybe we need like a shit talking segment.
Ooh,
and then,
a 15-minute break.
Yeah, and then we can go back on. I think it's like we have to be fair to the DJs who will come and play now. We can't just be hopping on me. Oh yeah, this
just
crappy
emceeing, yeah.
natty wine review. Here you go. But it started as a silly, jokey, fun thing to do, and also like as a mood booster. 'Cause I don't know if you remember that first week, but it was so soul crushing. And then we're like, okay, there's 6 of us living in this house that we have to coexist together all day, every day, not just like come home to each other.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the week, everyone's a bit antsy. So it kind of brought us all together for like a common purpose and project.
Well, trust me, I know about that first week because we had a party. The first Parry Talks party. It was meant to be the 27th of March, like the OG Parry Talks party.
Yeah.
It was meant to be the 27th of March, so we cancelled it like the Tuesday after Object, the Monday, I don't know. Diving back into that though, and I feel like, was it easier, do you think, to just be like, Douglas Street, this Friday we're throwing a stream, and just like not have that, you know, because I feel like if I think about starting something new too much, it clouds my head about it. So do you think that hopping straight into it was just like super healthy and a super easy way to just like dive into this new beast?
Absolutely, because when you think about something, I mean, like I've been trying to start a fashion brand for 2 years, and it's just like all of these things, and no, it has to be better, no, it has to be this, blah blah blah. But then when it's a group project, and you can all go, okay, everyone has like 3 days to pull this off.
Yeah.
Let's learn, you know, all of the streaming devices, let's hook up everything, everyone gets on board, and you just do it when you have a deadline. And it's easy because there's no pressure, but you're right, when you try and create this baby, then it gets a bit scary.
Definitely. And there's just like a beauty in a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Like if something just falls in place.
Yeah.
That's the word. Straight away, it's like, oh, that's beautiful, that's brilliant, and there's a beauty in that as well. So I think the raw nature of the OG Douglas Street streams probably helped. Like the fact that they were so raw probably helped with like lifting that energy and that aura.
So our first one was like probably the worst because it was just like a throw together of, you know, it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was still our highest streamed video.
Oh, that always happens, though.
Because everyone was like, oh my God, live streaming. Wow, what's that? That's so much fun. And we had like 60 people, maybe 100 people watching at one time. Like everyone, friends all over the world were tuning in, talking. We had this whole thing going and it was crazy. And it was so bad.
Yeah. But like, I think, but maybe that was like, and that's the point I'm trying to make, maybe that was the beauty of it, where everyone was just like,
you're right,
latching on. I just need something, like a hint. I'm going to ask a controversial question you don't need to answer, if you don't want to. Was this first Douglas Street stream before the first Room 2 radio stream?
It was on the same night.
Oh, okay. So that's fine. There's no beef now.
No, there's no beef. There's no beef.
No, I'm joking. Cause
it was literally the same night, and like we timed it because we both kind of put out things at the same time, and we're like, okay, Room 2 radio streaming, and like we know, a bunch of them as well.
Yeah.
And we messaged her and we're like, cool, what time are you doing it? Amazing, we'll do it beforehand.
Yeah.
And like at the end of our Douglas Street first stream, we were like, oh, cool. And Room 2 Radio is also streaming. So if you're still hanging out, go to them for the club night. And they both served two very different purposes.
Okay, good. Yeah,
we
I
were
agree.
like lounge, drinks in the lounge room, this cozy house party atmosphere, and they were like literally a club. So we did completely different things, and we didn't overlap at all. Yeah. So no beef. No,
when I say that, I don't like. There is no beef. I love both crews just as much. And I was gonna say that's the point. Like, it's a testament to the fact that two people can be doing similar things, but because of their own personal interest, their own personal touch and flair, they can both coexist and it be wholesome. And you guys are like a living evidence of like, it can happen and we can do it and it's cool, and like people shouldn't be competitive about.
We need more people
in community
doing the
spaces.
same things.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
And it just don't even sell me on just like tall poppy syndrome, and like especially in Sydney in Australian culture, I think is so it's wholesome to see those two crews and you guys like Room 2 Radio people would be at the Douglas Street streams, and like vice versa and stuff. It's just beautiful.
Exactly. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about before as Aussies being battlers in the music scene and like having to band together because that's the only way to do anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Those first streams, and I know technical difficulties are just lovely. Did you have any just like...
So many.
What was like was there one that was just like, what the hell is going on? Like, why does this just not work?
We did our first outside stream. We've done a couple of like little special editions in the garden, which have been the best streams because it's like a daytime fun event and it's just like the vibe is amazing. But getting all the equipment outside and all of the things that possibly can go wrong and like not being able to troubleshoot them in time, that was the most difficult. We were like strapping ice packs to the computer to cool it down because it was too hot. So we had all these ice packs like strapped together. We had fans on it, and then we realized like post the stream that all of our like Google, because we had heaps of like Google Wi-Fi and like whatever through the house, that was actually competing with it, and we should have just run a cord all the way. So there were just all these things that's like live and learn. And then as live streaming became more and more prevalent, and then content IDs became like a huge problem. Facebook was taking stuff down, YouTube takes stuff down, so all of that sort of stuff as well.
Perfect. So when did it turn from a let's have fun, let's put some positive energy into the world live stream, or it never changed from that, but when did it go from your housemates just chilling out to let's curate a weekly sort of show and make it and like properly curate it and turn it into a series? So when did that transition sort of happen?
I think episode 9. So we
you've done some research.
We got really bored of each other. We were like, how long can we just us get up every single Friday and like DJ? It was also, that was the most hectic period of lockdown, and we were really hanging out to have a guest, but we waited until we could have, you're allowed one person, you're allowed two people, and so we did wait. We did everything by the books, and we waited. Until we could have someone. So we were kind of hanging out for a guest for a long time, and that was amazing. That was our like first lock-in when we had our one friend over, and we're like, oh my god, party.
Who was it?
Morgan Huggins.
Of course.
Yeah.
A close friend of the show.
A very close friend of the show. When he comes over, he doesn't leave for like 48 hours. Like Jack will be calling, it's Morgan there. Oh yeah, he's still here.
Just sleeping. Like, leave him alone.
Yeah, leave him alone.
I've heard a rumour about Morgan.
Tell me.
Apparently he might be coming on to Parry Talk soon. I've heard a rumour. I don't know though. So like he might be. I don't know.
Oh, delightful.
So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that one.
He's a very special human to talk to.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one thing we can sort of relate on. Keen to get your opinion on it. When you were first gathering, when you're like, all right, let's have guests, and then you started just reaching out and, curating the stream every week. Did you find it super difficult to do that? What were some of the thoughts, like going through who we should book, who we shouldn't, or what we should do? Or was it very organic, just being like everybody that I have a connection with, just like, let's reach them out, let's give them a platform?
Both. So we have a running list of like all the people that we admire, we think are amazing in the local scene and beyond now, because we do the podcast as well. So have a big long list of like these are all the legends that we'd love to have. But there's also very much a curation process because we wanted to keep it super diverse. So we didn't want to have 4 weeks of minimal or 4 weeks of guys, or so it was all of these people, but then making sure that we had enough variety, so we kind of kept a consistent flow of different people coming on.
Definitely.
And making sure the girl to boy ratio was equal the whole time was a big thing for us as well.
Yeah, it's so important. And just by doing that as well, it makes it more engaging because you're reaching different people and different audiences and different... it's just a good thing to do from a strategy perspective, but also from an ethical and just a do the right thing perspective.
It's just nice to track also, because you don't think about it. You're like, oh, cool, I want this made over. But when you kind of map it all out, then it becomes really interesting how you curate it and you go, okay, this person's vinyl housey, let's have something super, super experimental techno next, and kind of really, really break up the format to keep it interesting and engaging. So there is a curation process within that.
Definitely. And I think that's one of Sydney's biggest challenges, I think, going forward, is just try not to have it so segregated. I think that sometimes pre-COVID it was very much you DJ this and you play that and you get booked by these promoters and you play that party and the same people will go to that party and you love that party. But I think, and that's one thing I think an Athletica by Louisa does really well, or that sort of vibe is it's mashing up all these things together, and then people on the dance floor is oh, we're not that different, you and me.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one cool thing about Douglas Street as well that's sort of come through it. So I think that's a big challenge for Sydney going forward as well.
That was one of our main things that we wanted to think about when we were curating as well. We're there are so many incredible party crews that do this well. We don't need to compete with that.
Yeah.
We don't need to have another one of these groups. Let's be a bit of everything. Let's be a house party vibe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's so true. That is what a house party is. It's you don't know what you're going to get.
I know this guy, you come.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my mate. Yeah.
Do you mind if I bring over 15 people? It's I guess, whatever.
Can I've got my USB with me.
Oh, that's the worst. That's not on. I think...
No, none of that, but
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes. It's I have big... Right, we're going on a tangent here. We're going on a good tangent. I have massive issues with if someone is obviously doing their thing at a house party and it's rocking and everyone's loving it and some man comes up and is hey, let me play tech house, and then ruins it, and so obviously ruins it because the person that was DJing is now off it. Yeah. And then the vibe of the crowd, the punters are what the hell? We were vibing that. So that's my big house party no when it comes to music.
We only have lineups at our house parties now because it's this, and then you get a line of everyone to the decks, people only play 2 songs. No. We can start that at kick-ons, but...
Exactly. It's so annoying. Do you have any house party pet peeves? What's just something that people do and just Tally's just makes you... Ugh. Just I think I can think of so many.
I mean, it's been so long since our last house party. I'll take any of them.
True.
I'll take all the bad as well as the good. I don't know. Peeing in the shower is really annoying.
Oh,
people
that's
always do
shocking.
That. Is it that hard?
Why though? What's the point?
What's the point? We have a little shower cupboard and there's literally no toilet. You just it's a rolling door with tiles.
Yeah.
And people just pee on the ground.
I was gonna say people stealing beers and stuff, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Me.
I don't know.
Me.
I'll take stealing beers any day.
Me when I rocked up to a Douglas Street. Talia, I didn't bring any beers. Can I please just have one Newtoner each? Just a sip. And you're
Absolutely.
True. Maybe I just need to be more friendly.
I think you're pretty friendly.
Not when it comes to beverages, alcoholic beverages.
Cool.
Anyway.
Cool.
Now that we're just talking about guests, let's just dive into that as well. What tickles your fancy as a fan almost? When you pick a DJ, it's if you're being super selfish, don't worry about it's 1 week, it's 1 live stream. What's your genuine taste in a DJ or a selector or artist? What just gets you going?
I mean, I'm a big minimal buff, so anyone that plays kind of minimal leaning stuff, I'm most obsessed with.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited that we're curating a stream in March that's all house and minimal, outside, all girls line up.
Nice.
That's my jam.
Nice. Epic.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
amazing.
I'm home.
Yeah.
This one's for me.
Yeah. Anyone that brings obscure vinyls, I'm like, yeah. But then anyone that can give us a good dance.
Yeah.
You know, and even if it's like out of what I would normally listen to, if it's groovy and I'm moving around and having a good boogie, then yeah, they're at the top of my list too.
Definitely. I feel like we'll go. Who's been your favorite stream so far? Like music wise, or just like in the energy in the room was just up, and I'm interested to see if it was in that minimal genre or if it came from somewhere else.
Oh,
or just like just ones that step
that,
out.
like stick out. Bodhi did a really nice one. That was an outside one, and he moved it was all vinyl, and he was sitting down the whole time, and yeah, so
normalized DJ sitting down,
right? So it was a completely different vibe to everyone standing around and having a dance. And he moved from ambient into just like house party tunes really seamlessly. And like you didn't even realize that you were sitting down and like eating fruit. And then a couple of hours later you were like jumping around, dancing. So I think that transition was
beautiful.
Was one of my favorites.
Lovely. Yeah, because I feel like I've definitely got my taste. But I'm most like wowed, or like the nights that really stick into my brain are ones that come from worlds that I don't expect them to.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if you reflect on that as well.
Yeah.
But probably like, it's just the best feeling in the world.
Definitely. Well, I think there's been a couple of examples of that as well, like music that's a lot heavier than what I would normally listen to. Degrade, Julia.
Yeah.
And they all blow me away because it's music that I don't normally listen to in the week, and you're like, oh my god, this is such a vibe. So yeah, I agree.
Beautiful. So let's just get a bit more reflective now. Let's start reflecting, because I think this is my favorite type of conversation. How do you think the ethos of Douglas Street, obviously it still has its roots in just positive energy and, just good spirits effectively. How do you think that ethos has like changed now that it has grown and it's changed so much as an entity? Or in terms of like, what other things are you thinking about now that you didn't expect to initially be thinking about?
Yeah, it's weird. As soon as you start growing, then you start thinking of other possibilities and where your, I don't want to say brand, but like your collective can move into the future.
Yeah.
And then also, keeping that ethos, tight, and knowing what you stand for has been a big reflection time this past month. It always comes back to the wholesome house party vibe is what we want to continue and move forward, but then move it into other online platforms. We're building a website at the moment, which is very exciting, and then move that into spaces that aren't Douglas Street. Douglas Street goes to this warehouse over here, and stuff like that. So January's been a good time of reflection to go, okay, why do we love this, and what do we want to do with this that we can kind of push it?
The Douglas Street tour.
Yeah.
Imagine like, have you seen those memes of like houses like on the back of trucks? That's what you should do. Melbourne.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a Douglas Street caravan.
Oh, yes.
Oh, and you do a caravan park tour.
Amazing. 100%.
You just have to steal the Douglas Street sign. Oh, you've already done this.
No, we haven't.
What do you think the biggest challenge for 2020 was with Douglas Street that you didn't really expect for it to happen, or, just something that really caused for a lot of thinking last year?
Oh, biggest challenge. Gosh, I don't know. I guess keeping the momentum going is hard, and it's really exciting for the first couple of months, and then you're like, oh my god, I do this every Friday. And then like hustling that energy and trying to continue that and be fair to all of the artists that are playing too. Like, you don't want to be like, oh, we're heaps tired this afternoon, sorry, like this is a bit, you can't do that. Like it's so exciting to have people come play, so you've got to keep that energy, and having 6 people in the house, you know, motivated, that's really hard.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, we're not doing it every Friday anymore. We're going to do once a month streams that are curated with a couple of different people. So we're going to make a bigger deal out of bigger events way less frequently. That was definitely our biggest challenge.
Definitely. And I think, motivation is such a difficult thing to manage because I feel like so many people put pressure on like, oh, it's like you're throwing DJ streams. Like, what could be so stressful about that? Like, how could you be neg about, like, you're just, like, just be, like, it's like, no, it's like, it can be quite draining and like, so I think reflecting on that and realizing that I think is an important thing because like everyone has their own shit, you know?
And it doesn't stop when the stream turns off.
Yeah.
You want to have beers, you want to have dinner, you want to keep mixing. It's a commitment that you're going in for the whole night. It's in your house. It's not like, oh, cool, the club night's over, let's wrap it up. Wrap it. Yeah, so it's an all-in. Yeah,
definitely. How do you think you managed that? Was it just steaming ahead, just like
steaming
let's do it?
Yeah. Having 6 of us really helped.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if it was any less, I think we would have dwindled, but having, you know, some people were able to take a week off, and, you know, someone always being there and just having bodies behind the DJ and, you know, creating a vibe, I think would be impossible without everyone there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
How do you feel generally now about the live stream format? I personally think it has a massive place forward in the future, like when clubs reopen and stuff because of accessibility and stuff. But how do you personally feel about like the whole COVID live stream sort of thing? Do you feel like the novelty of it has worn off and it's all about just like good curation and good music now rather than it being about the live stream novelty? Or do you think...
I mean, about halfway through, it was, you know, not about the live stream anymore. It was about having recorded content that we could then push out afterwards and having fun on the night. So building a community and having a place to go and, you know, a place for DJs to actually DJ. That was the core of it, and that was what was most important. And the live stream, I mean, sick if people are watching. They're probably not. Most people are going to watch the next day or throughout the week, or we get most of our hits on SoundCloud, so they're hardly even watching the video anyway.
Exactly.
But it doesn't matter. Like the fact that it's live streamed is a novelty and that's special, but it's like not about that.
But I think that the fact that it was, and you said this already, like that you had a DJ actually DJing in a house to a crowd or to like 6 people, but like that alone is a crowd. I think makes a difference on the energy of the DJ and the stuff that they do play, and just the energy of the whole Douglas Street thing, which gives it like it's a unique edge because it's not a mix series.
Yeah.
And like mix series, don't get me started because I love a mix series.
I love a mix
so
series.
Much. But also at the same time, it's like it's cool to see innovation in that space through like a Douglas Street. Lovely, and I love that. Like it's just gonna be like, because a monthly live stream to me sounds so much more like
it's a thing. Rather than like I can just come next Friday. Or I'll come the Friday after. It's like this is the Friday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look, this is also a tough question.
Yeah.
How did you like personally feel or navigate? Like you don't have to tell me like whether you pay DJs or not, but how did you feel about navigating the space between? Is this a mix series where you don't really normally pay DJ, or are you DJing like a house party or a live stream? Because we threw a live stream and we had no idea what to do. So how did you like navigate that personally? Was it like just like a lot of thinking, a lot of tossing up, or just like I don't know, it's a tough question.
We really wanted to pay our DJs. We really wanted to, but we don't make any revenue. We don't even have a place where you can go and pay or support the DJs. It is purely a community project, and I mean, I'm very transparent about that at the beginning. I have a big long email to say I'm so sorry. We unfortunately can't pay you because of these reasons, but we're going to do all of these things to promote you as a DJ, and we're going to put our all to give back to you as much as you're giving to us. So, we do a newsletter that goes out afterwards with an interview and a Buy Music Club, and we have art and the SoundCloud, and we have all these different points of promotion that we're trying to give back as much as possible. Yeah. And, people are really, really happy and beautiful about that. Yeah. No one kind of throws it back in your face, which is nice. And then hopefully, out of this, we've built up our brand enough that we can start putting on ticketed parties, and then 100% of DJs will of course be paid.
Definitely.
In the future. But it's hard asking for people to do stuff for free.
It's the worst. Yeah.
It's the worst. But in the end, like it's not free for us to run either. All of the speaker repair, and all of that sort of stuff, and our streaming devices and all of our subscriptions and all of that. So it's at this point it's impossible. But we are super, super transparent about that.
I appreciate your honesty on that as well, because I feel like it has been a bit of a no one's really spoken about it. Like, how do we navigate this space? So just like people being honest about it straight away is just like super refreshing. I think super necessary as well, where it's like so many people are so scared to like, they won't even jump into it because they don't know how to.
It's really tricky. It's really tricky. And I mean, you're telling people that they're not going to get paid for their craft, and they've already lost all of their outlets that they were getting paid for. Like, that's so crazy. Yeah. But it's been a time where everyone's kind of just banded together and gone, okay, we're going to put everything in, and we're going to do the most that we can do in this time to kind of lift each other up. And through that, then, you know, hopefully everyone has a really good chance to be able to start making money again and lift our scene up kind of out of this.
Definitely.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
It's just, yeah. But like, you know, well, it's all just having about good minds and good minds on the same page, and like that's evidence of that, I think.
We do always buy beers or drinks for our guests, and we buy them dinner. So we do like pizza and beers and stuff, and we're like, we love you.
Oh no, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot and ask that, but like I just think it's important to have the conversation. We've had this conversation
so many times in the house as well. Like, okay, do we all chip in $20, you know, every Friday? But then it becomes like a really expensive endeavor, and then how often can we do it, and is that even enough?
Yeah.
You know, is it like giving, you know, DJs kind of pocket change as well? Like, oh, sorry, thank you.
No, just I think it's just a thing. Like, just be honest with people, and they'll respect that, and appreciate it, and happy to be involved. Like, and worst case, they're just like, they understand and say, sorry, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And they like totally understand. Like,
and it's so fine. It's so fine. Like, we'll book you later when we can afford you.
Yeah. Never. 2021.
Yes.
It's looking exciting. I'm excited. I'm excited for Douglas Street 2021 and your 2021. How do you think you'll measure success, or, you know, what sort of impact do you think Douglas Street, you're aiming for Douglas Street to make this year? Like, how do you think, just, you know?
Our first ticketed party out of the house, oh my gosh. Okay. And you know what? That's been the aim for Douglas Street for maybe like 3 years.
Yeah.
Like pre-COVID, we're like, oh my goodness, we move every single piece of furniture out of the house for our freaking house parties.
Yeah.
And it takes us 2 weeks to put the house back together. This is it. We're doing warehouse parties.
Yeah.
And we've been saying it for too long, and now we have the brand to do it, and we have no excuse.
Yeah.
So that'll be the biggest milestone.
Yeah.
It's also coming up to a year of COVID, but our 1 year anniversary, which is really nice. So we're going to be launching a website during that time. So that's going to be really exciting, having a database of all of our artists and interviews and that sort of thing.
Just accessibility, I think, is so important for that sort of stuff. Did you read about, like, I don't know if it's passed through yet or not, where you can throw parties in like spaces that aren't, and it be legal?
150 people. I certainly have been looking very closely into this. It hasn't passed yet.
Okay, can you explain it? So the situation will be,
if it goes through.
Yeah, if it goes through, yeah.
If it goes through, you can approach warehouse spaces or places that weren't previously,
like stores and stuff.
Allowed to have parties on, like it was all warehouse parties and those sort of things. It was illegal. It's now legal. If it passes, it'll be legal to collaborate with those spaces and be able to it just means there'll be more places that could be venues. It's kind of opening up the landscape for people to be able to throw parties in different places, because, you know, where have all of our venues gone?
Exactly. And I had a long conversation with Caitlin Medcalf about this. And like, there was a lot of like talk around October, November last year about like reopening. And then she was like, where?
Yeah.
So we just have to be like super careful with our spaces. And I think that stuff like that is super exciting. And the whole spaces conversation is so important, I think, in terms of just like...
So important, and it's like a new, fresh lens on spaces as well. You're coming into a space where you can really set the like safer space guidelines and, you know, make it what you want it to be, rather than going into a club or venue that already exists, that you're kind of, I don't know, going into that as it was. It's a fresh start.
Yeah, it feels like you're properly hosting it.
Yeah.
House party vibes.
So good. Yeah, I'm like...
I've got an idea.
Yeah. Pitch it to me.
Why don't we get a license for Douglas Street and turn it into a club?
It's a possibility, right? And also another thing that's happened out of COVID is now you can apply to the council for a temporary 1-year liquor license.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so there's been like little pop-up restaurants and stuff who've been able to go into spaces and actually start making money and paying their artists, because they've got a revenue that's coming in because of, you know, being able to obtain a liquor license, where it was previously like semi-impossible to do that for small pop-ups. So all of these things on the horizon. Yeah,
it's super exciting. I think because Sydney sort of had the lockout free... Sorry, we've gone the two big podcasts, like OGs, like COVID and lockouts, like the big two.
I know.
Well, Sydney sort of had that lockout, like it was like 2 months of like no lockouts in Sydney before COVID. And it was just like... And that was my first experience going out without lockouts. And I was like... What? This is what it's like. This is what it's normally like. Like, this is what it's meant to be like,
it's meant to be like
in Sydney. And it like blew me away. So I feel like this endless, like almost tease.
It's such
like,
a tease.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah. For years.
Yeah. Oh. It's like a high school couple.
Yes.
No,
high school couple.
Just years of tease. Or your high school crush. Anyway, that was so cooked.
I get it.
Yeah, just like ready to explode.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
And everyone's in the same mind space as well. I mean, that kind of takes me to a question that I always like to ask when I do my interviews with the artists for our newsletter is, you know, how would you like to see Sydney evolve out of this? And I mean, everyone has their own ideas, but it's mostly that, oh my gosh, we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
We have incredible local talent, and we're so ready to start putting on incredible local parties, and everyone is in that same mind space. So when the tease is finally over, I think it'll just be an explosion of everyone being like, this is our time.
An explosion, just a massive... Yeah, and I think the way forward, especially from what we saw last summer, and also from like just not whispers, but just like energy, is promoters collaborating together. And like I think that's such a way forward, especially when times are a bit more testing. And like just it's so wholesome and so friendly, and just like it's lovely to see groups of people coming together that like should be friends, and then now they actually are.
This is it, dipping your toes into other people's scenes, and you realize that you've all fallen down the electronic music wormhole. You're all there together.
It's like that Spider-Man meme. It's like, what the hell, we are the same person. Like, you just need to eradicate all chin strokers or gatekeepers. Get rid of them.
Yeah.
You do other things other than Douglas Street.
I do. I have so many projects. It's so silly.
Obviously, across January, you hosted Citrus.
Yes.
On FBI. Nice late night show.
Yes.
Was the purpose of that show for you just to be like, I just want an outlet to play the minimal, you know, the groovy stuff you just liked, you just enjoyed? Was it just like a nice outlet for that?
It was such an amazing outlet for that, and radio is so special and unique because you're not playing to a crowd. Like, yes, you have to understand that your audience is out there and people are listening to you, so don't be an idiot. But I mean, you can be much more explorative than if you're trying to keep a dance floor going, and that's so special and something that I mean is really rare to be able to get. So yeah, it was a place where I could play all of the gloopy wiggy late night stuff that I love and I listen to all the time, but I wouldn't necessarily put in a promo mix or something for someone, because it could be a bit alienating. But then being able to weave that with really accessible nice sounding
Yeah, I know
sounds
what you mean.
that people can also like grab onto and relate and delve into that scene as well. It's also a really nice challenge because FBI has such a high local music quota.
Yeah.
So then it's also a really incredible space to be able to weave all of these local legends into a mix too. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's beautiful. Let's get...
So just is great.
I want to talk about Talia at the top of the hole before she fell into this dark, dark world of electronic dance music. When did you sort of like just start to become involved? When did you, when did the taste of like, ooh, I sort of don't mind?
Look, I think like you, it's always been there. Like I finished school and was like, oh my God, I was going out pre-lockout. So I was like Spice Cellar, like Dungeon and all, the old Sash at the Abercrombie.
Yeah.
So I did have a little taste of the golden years. And so I think I was always kind of embedded in that. I think my first places I was going out was Bare Essentials at the top of Sweeney's rooftop. So which was deep house and kind of what has evolved my music taste. But yeah, I was a fashion designer for years, full-time job, 9 to 5. And I think my outlet was always every weekend after having such a big block sitting on the computer all week, going out to parties.
A release.
Doing all of the local warehouse parties. My first place I moved to in the city was Marrickville.
Nice, of course.
So,
where else?
So like I couldn't. Everything was just down the road. It was walkable. I think that's where it like really, really started.
That's one way to just like.
Yeah, right. You're like.
You didn't have a choice.
You literally have no choice. It did take me a really long time to get up my confidence to hop on decks. It took me years to pluck up the courage to be like, maybe there is value in my music taste. Maybe I can do this and I do have a space up there.
Yeah.
But it took me many years to transition from a punter, which I still am, like a party-going punter, we always will be, to someone who is confident enough to curate and put on events and that sort of thing.
And I feel like that is such a natural progression for so many people on the dance floors, because it gets to a point where there's this massive blurred line between no, this is wrong, this is going to sound wrong, but like being a fan and then also being involved.
Yeah.
Where everybody that is a fan is effectively involved.
Yeah, for
because
sure. You make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you buy a ticket, you're involved, but then it's also, I think, in the back of everyone's mind, it's like, how can I do more? Because it is such a like localized, like core community.
I mean, the Lovejoy boys, we didn't start off best friends with them. We started off,
we was big.
No. We've always adored them so much. But, it's like, oh, cool, these are our friends. Let's go to, every single one of their parties. And then we ended up being all of Douglas Street ended up being always the last people there, always doing the pack up and clean up with them, wiping down cables at Douglas Street after parties together. And you start to form these alliances because you are the dance floor punters that appreciate what these party crews do so much that you start becoming one.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that as well is that a lot of promoters in underground communities don't have egos. It's like, because most of the time they're throwing parties because they just want to see that DJ.
Yeah,
or like they want to see that lineup. So
you're not
like,
making any money.
Yeah, it's like, what, stuff it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I want to see Caitlin Metcalf and Lexa Lux play. No, I guess I'll book them. I'll book them. What, stuff it. So I think, and because of that, it's a very level playing field, and it has really wholesome results like that.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
How'd you get involved into radio? When did that begin?
So that began at the beginning of last year, beginning of COVID again. I never really thought I was going to be a radio DJ or a radio presenter. And I started dance class, and then I couldn't put on events, and I couldn't, and then it slowly became apparent that radio is such a beautiful and important medium in this time. Like, there's been such a big resurgence of radio in recent times, especially in this past year.
Yeah.
And then I fell in love with it. Like, it was incidental. And my mentor was Adi Tui, who's so special.
Who we'll talk about.
And I mean, she does what she does so well, and was a huge inspiration to me as well. And I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah, she's just the go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I definitely reflecting on my own experience. I've listened to more FBI and Skylab than I have in years.
Yeah.
And it's just because, and I'm like, what was I doing?
Yeah,
Like,
what was I doing before this?
because I was like, what I used to do, and this is very cheeky of me, and FBI is great for this.
Yeah.
Because I'd listen to the shows.
You just go down the track list and everyone does that.
I'm a thief.
Everyone
I was just being a
does
thief.
that. Yeah.
But then now I've really enjoyed and really thought about the flow of the show and how this makes sense with that, and also just like giving a DJ or presenter your trust and time is like a super important thing, and you learn so much about them.
Yeah.
Like through listening to a weekly show.
You form a connection with them. You absolutely do. Radio is such a like singular solo experience, and that's so special.
Especially if you're especially FBI, it's such intimate
it is
connection, and especially like when not know the person, but like you've seen them everywhere, you've seen them DJ 1,000 times.
Exactly.
It's like
you can text in, it's not weird. You're like, they're gonna read my message. It's community radio.
Yeah, it's the best. It's just 82 the GOAT. I consider her, she's like, well, maybe not, I don't know about greatest of all time, but like she is the best DJ in Sydney, in my opinion.
For me, she's always been, I mean, an idol, but an accessible idol, someone that you can relate to, and she's a school teacher.
She's a person.
She's a dorky, like amazingly dorky, cute Sydney girl. Like she's not someone, she's on a pedestal, for a lot of us.
But for good reasons.
But she's not some, crazy, I don't know, celebrity DJ. Like there's so much that you can relate to that makes her super special.
That's why I think people are so engaged and enthralled by her though, because it's like, 80's here, come on, let's go. Anyway, I could talk about 80 for weeks. It's just like, it's just so nice to have community leaders and members that are so accessible, I think.
Yeah.
And because like in some other worlds, they're not.
And so down to earth and willing to impart their knowledge as well. Definitely. And give everyone else an equal leg up as well. It's not hogging the spotlight. It's let's help everyone and build this community.
Yeah, until you start stealing their songs. They're stealing their track lists from front to back. Oh my God.
Everyone does that. Yeah. So many people say that to me.
But like, it's the easiest way to dig music. Because it's like, one, half of it's going to be from Sydney, which is good.
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah.
And then it's just like, they're always going to be banging. You can trust it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to end the serious part of the conversation there. Now let's talk some absolute off-topic rubbish.
Hell yeah.
And I feel like the one thing, and I say this to everyone, the one thing that I love about Sydney is our food.
Oh, yeah.
Food's the best.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm not going to dox your suburb. I'm not going to tell everyone which Douglas Street. Just in case,
Yeah.
Especially in where you live, there's some absolute hot spots.
The Inner West. Yeah. The Inner West. Okay. I mean, look, the Inner West, great
There's going to be some Parry Talks. There's going to be someone wearing a Parry Talks t-shirt knocking on your door being like, let me in. Now, because you drew on that.
Sorry.
So what's your favourite, like, fast food, like, takeaway? Like, Macca's, KFC, like, that level of takeaway for you? Like, what's just, like, the cheat? Or are you just so self-disciplined that you don't even engage with it?
There's one. There's only one. And this is also going to give away my location. I don't even know why we bothered. Brothers Kebabs.
Okay, yeah, true.
Right?
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Like, I mean, is that not like the hotspot for kebabs? I mean, I always get the falafel roll. They know our order. They know our faces. I haven't been there enough this past year, but hoping to
reconnect. To re-engage.
They're so wonderful. I've ordered Brothers Kebabs 2 warehouse parties, mid-warehouse party.
Yeah, that's a must.
Eaten half, gone, gonna save you for later, put it in my bum bag.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's...
Whipped it out at kick-ons. Literally.
The takeaway. No, that's not on.
Sorry.
Well, like, I've done that before, but every time I do it, I'm like, oh, I'm hungry, and then for some crazy reason, my appetite isn't there.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you put it in your bum bag for later.
I didn't see you as a kebab person.
I'm usually not. You said, like, you're one cheeky...
Yeah, the excuse.
Grotty late night. That's what it has to be.
True.
That's like the creme de la creme.
I'm a KFC man.
Yeah.
KFC on Crown Street. Oh, that changed the game. That's changed the game. Last Friday, I was there. Tonight, I'm going to be at Cafe Frida's.
Yep.
You know where I'm going for dinner. KFC.
Oh my goodness.
Man, come on. Like, there's no joke.
No. Cafe Frida's has such good
Oh, no,
food.
the food. No. But the thing about the food there is,
Yeah.
you go and it's really well put together food, and it's like the chef there is brilliant. So you want to go and you want to just like pick and choose. Oh, maybe a bit of that. You don't want to stuff yourself. With a couple cocktails as well.
Yeah.
So you just take the edge off there, and then if you have 4 or 5 beers, that's when it's like
Yeah, you need a
zinger box.
Yeah.
Let's go.
There
If
you
you
go.
eat meat.
I don't.
That's the shit thing about KFC, and that's my big gripe with KFC. There's no vegetarian options or vegan options at all.
Yeah.
I don't think there is, other than the chips.
I haven't checked. They do good chips, better than Macca's.
Okay, thank you. Correct. All right, what about now? Let's talk serious now
Alright.
about food.
Yeah.
What's like your favorite like just spot, restaurant, just like there's just everyone just has that one spot that's just like, oh, can we please just go there for lunch or dinner? I feel like everyone does.
I feel like I mix it up heaps.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. I always go back to Yuli's. Like, Yuli's
Yeah.
is an old fave, especially because they've got the brewery. I mean, they do the best, like, shared finger food. I always go back there.
Correct.
I've been to Golden Gully and Sunshine Inn heaps this year.
Sunshine Inn is beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
$10 pasta Tuesdays. Come on.
It's so good. And have you been to Golden Gully?
I haven't.
So they opened that one first, and that's in Leichhardt. And it's
Oh.
very, like, Australiana, like, I don't know. It's so
Yeah.
cute. Good wines, but then you're in Leichhardt with the kind of, like, old Leichhardt crew,
Yeah.
too, is quite nice. So, yeah, all of those kind of spots I love.
You know what I've been loving
Mm.
recently? Have you been to Redfern Surf Club?
No.
It's got that energy to it. It's just like
Yeah.
that bar-y sort of,
Yeah.
but like windows are all open.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful in there. Check that out. Redfern Surf
Amazing.
Club. Sponsor
Amazing.
us. Just down the road from here. Actually, no, don't go to
Like-
any of those places. Just come to the Gladdy. That's all. That's all I'm allowed contractually.
True.
And final question.
Yeah.
Ask everyone this. Who do you think needs a Parry Talks podcast? Who deserves to have their story told? Who's on next?
You ruined it, because I actually would have said Morgan, because, I mean, his new release is amazing, and Lovejoy had, like, just started their new record label, and that's pretty awesome. Oh, I don't know. This is too hard. There's so many amazing people doing amazing things. Okay.
It doesn't have to be one person. You can just be like, all these people.
All of these people.
You can do the programming for Parry Talks for the next 6 months if you want to right now.
Oh, yeah. I'll send you some suggestions. Josh Deering just changed his DJ name. He's now releasing under Amwa. And he put out an incredible release on, what's the new label called? Midheaven? Have you seen this? It's a new Sydney project.
Nice.
And it's a new label that's just started up. And maybe go check that one out.
Done. Lovely. Parry Talks. Just spoke for an hour.
Wow. Was that an hour of us
Yeah.
talking?
Tangela, Talia. Whatever
I can
you want
talk
to call it.
forever. Please stop me.
Nah. We keep them at an hour.
Yeah.
We could talk for years.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. It was really nice.
Next time, post-COVID, when there's a Douglas Street party, and you find me at a Douglas Street party,
Yeah.
I'll give you one of my beers. An audience, not you, Talia. Audience member. If you come up to me and you're
Not
like...
me. You're not giving
No,
me.
I'm not giving you anything. No, if you come up to me and you're like, oh, you interviewed the Douglas Street person, right? And you say that to me, I'll give you free alcohol.
Hell yeah.
Thank you guys for listening. Thanks so much for coming on again.
Thank you. Thank you.